happy Furahi Day to you, and thank you so much for tuning in to This Is the Day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njiri. Now, Sarah, we got a couple of hours to go before we finally get to know whether the curfew and the cessation of movement in the country is going to be lifted. We're expecting the president to make an address anytime between now and tomorrow in the evening.
Yeah.
And then the teachers' union complaining that the Ministry of Education is neglecting them, is not involving them in decisions that are being made towards, bringing back things back to normalcy. In Cameroon, it's que sera, sera. Whatever will be, in as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. People are just doing their thing. Yeah.
Well, that and much more is coming up during this 1 hour. Remember, the WhatsApp number that you can use to join our discussions from is 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. Remember, Meru and Nyeri, we're also live on Family Radio. On Radio Nyeri, that is 87.9, and in Meru 107.7. So if you know anyone in these areas, kindly tell them to tune in, and always we will be keeping Jesus on the airwaves, and it's the place where the music does the talking. On Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316.
Now, well, this is one of the most anticipated directive from the president right now in the country, because the directive by President Kenyatta on cessation of movement in and out of Nairobi, Mombasa and Kilifi, and the dusk to dawn curfew that was issued on the 25th of April comes to an end on Saturday, that is tomorrow, with many stakeholders calling for the president to lift the two directives. Well, the stakeholders claim that the two directives should only apply in areas worst affected, saying Kenya has to start opening up, since the World Health Organization has already warned that the world has to learn to live with COVID-19 virus for longer. Now, the president is expected to address the nation anytime before the expiry of the directive tomorrow on the way forward.
I think the big question is are we ready? Have we done enough? And I think you can also tell us, do you think we are ready for the lifting of the curfew hours and also the cessation in some of the areas across the country? The WhatsApp number 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. We want to know your views. And now let us look at the updates in our country. And now more men are dying from COVID-19 worldwide than women, and most men are also being affected. And out of the 2,100 people that have been tested in the last 24 hours in Kenya, 18 are men, while only 5 are female. Now the total number of those having the virus stands at 781, and the health CAS Dr. Aman Rashid said this during the presser.
We have tested 2,100 persons. Out of these cases, we have 23 that have tested positive. This brings to 781 the total number of cases that have turned positive. In terms of disaggregation, 5 are females and 18 are males, with ages ranging between 24 years and 85 years. Consistent with the growing number of losses we're making over the last 24 hours, we have lost 3 more people.
Well, the CAS also thanked residents of Eastleigh and Old Town in Mombasa County for cooperating and turning out in large numbers to be tested. Representatives also pointed out that testing for the virus takes 3 to 8 hours before results are obtained. He was responding to issues of truck drivers who complained that tests are taking too long.
Given to the truck drivers at that point. However, I also want to tell you that the test that is used for testing COVID-19 is not a simple test. It is not a 10-minute or 15-minute test. the nucleic acid-based test or the molecular-based test can take anything from 5 to 8 hours to obtain a test on the spot.
Well, I think one of the issues that has been raised is the fact that truck drivers are complaining as much as they are carrying perishable goods. They have to wait for longer days before they get the results for this testing, and that is a problem according to them.
Yeah, and not only at the borders, if you go to the port, there's also the same queue because yet again the same issue. It's taking too long to do the testing, and so truck drivers have to stay on the queue for long.
Yeah.
And it's ending up delaying a lot of things. But I think this is a necessary inconvenience for us. I think we just have to do this if we are going to keep our country safe.
All right, let's head over to Kangundo, where 10 families were forced to spend the night in the cold after their landlord allegedly removed the doors and windows in a bid to eject them from the property. Now, the tenants say the 1.5 week notice given to them was not enough to enable them seek alternative accommodations, and especially during this time.
Nitoka hapa asubuhi, naishi kwa hii plot. Nilienda kutafuta kibarua nikibeba mtoto. Kurudi saa 9 nilipata milango imebomolewa na dirisha. Sasa nikashindwa nafanya nini? Sikuwa nimebeba nguo ya mtoto ya kumchange. Mtoto hajakula, tumeshinda hivyo kutoka asubuhi. Sasa anashindwa ni nini kilifanyika, hatukuwa tumeambiwa asubuhi kama kutabomolewa.
Masaa ya jioni kurudi, nikapata milango ishabomolewa, dirisha kila kitu. Sasa tukaanza kuuliza tutalala wapi na tutafanya nini? Hakuna hata chakula. Hata ukiingia kwa nyumba hakuna chakula, na hata bado tulikuwa tunafanya mahesabu ya kwenda kukopa unga. Tukapata kila kitu imebomolewa, hata vitu zingine zimebebwa, hakuna security ya kuangalia hizo vitu.
Sasa tunashindwa tutaenda wapi na tutalala waji leo juu kuna baridi.
Who are these people? Who gave permission to evict people in Utange? Who is threatening the people here in Changamwe? What about Kariobangi? Who are the people hiding behind these masks?
Sarah.
It's interesting,
Actually, it's ridiculous. As in, it's a sad story, but when I visualize it's ridiculous. I mean, a landlord just plucks the doors and the windows.
When that is done, you cannot even stay in that house. So oh my goodness. I just hope they find somewhere safe to stay, and especially during this time with the curfew and the coronavirus, we hope for the best. Well, a lot of problem and trouble is coming with this pandemic, the COVID-19. But Kenyans are known for many things, and Kenya is known for its diversity, culture, the social nature, and most of all, the sense of solidarity. When they need to stand up for each other and for fellow countrymen, we do that. Well, calling upon right now, and we need to fight this COVID-19. It all calls for solidarity, and we need to come up as a united village, the all Kenyan nation. So during these tough times, it will take you and me to come together and fight the coronavirus and protect our loved ones, and also to rebuild our country. So this is why we are calling on all corporates, all development partners and well-wishers to donate to the Kenya COVID-19 Fund. And this basically is to help fight the pandemic and help bring the lives of our brothers and sisters up just a little bit. So send your contributions to the account name, the Kenya COVID-19 Fund. And the account number is 204-255-4653. I'll repeat that. 204-255-4653. The bank is Absa Bank, that is Apple KPLC. Please, we need to come together and help our brothers and sisters. We've seen stories of people being thrown out. How are they supposed to survive during this time? That is why you and I come in. And I like the tagline of the Kenya COVID-19 Fund. It says, bega kwa bega, we shall overcome. We have responses from one Joseph Wakiseren, and he's very passionate about the lifting of the cessation. Now to him, and he says this, cessation of movement has been one leg in preventing the spread of the virus. Our health sector is weak, and lifting the restriction will only have us a skyrocketed figure of the COVID-19 cases. Have you seen the ignorance that Kenyans have? Yet they know the virus is dangerous. Now imagine what would happen if things go back to normal. Until Kenyans can't change, and he's put that in bold, this pandemic and life as usual will remain an unresolved riddle. And he also goes ahead to say, to iterate on that, may all Kenyans remember that mass testing has been done in only few counties. It's too early to start rushing into the norm. Our future as a country will depend on how we react. How we react to what happens to us. So he's putting out very clearly that Kenyans need to change before this ban can be lifted. To him, no.
You know, true. There's been a lot of calls from people from the business sector, basically kawaida mwananchi. They're saying that the curfew and the cessation of movement from one county to the other has brought down quite a number of things, their businesses, their livelihoods. And so what they're asking is, because the president is supposed to be announcing whether these restrictions will be lifted either between now or tomorrow, they want the president to lift them so that they can go back to what they say is normal life. Whether we are ready for that or not, that's the $1 million question.
0786-316-316, that is on WhatsApp, SMS line 20316. Are we ready for the lifting of this ban? Do you even think it's a right move by the president to announce that this ban has been lifted? We want to know your views.
All right. Elsewhere, the Kenya National Union of Teachers has asked Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha to stop politicking with education issues and include unions in crucial education discussions. NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion accused the ministry of having a habit of sidelining the union during major decisions.
Exclusion of NAT in the Curriculum Review Task Force chaired by Professor Fatuma Chege, and COVID-19 National Education Response Committee chaired by Dr. Sarah Ruto by the Cabinet Secretary Professor Magoha contravenes international conventions, treaties, protocols and agreements as outlined within the International Labour Organization and UNESCO, and further contravenes our national constitution, which makes public participation a right of citizens. And therefore, consequently, teachers have a constitutional right to sit in all the task forces through their union.
Well, you know what, Fred? The education sector right now is at a very challenging space, if I may say, because there is the national examination that is drawing close at a very high rate. And right now, all they're calling for is to be included in these decisions. And I feel like they have a point there.
It's true. I mean, they are stakeholders in the education ministry, in the education sector, and I think it's only right for that to happen. That is if it's not happening. Yes.
All right. Now, do you have stray dogs in your area? Maybe it's high time you're careful with them. The reason why I'm saying this is that Eldoret residents in Uasin Gishu County are living in fear after killer stray dogs ate a man alive. Now, these residents say the dogs also mauled at the livestock, rendering them poor amidst this coronavirus pandemic. Now, they say they have raised a lot of concerns, but no action has been taken. And here is their plea.
Mwenye alibariki ni mzee yangu. Alitoka nyumbani saa moja akienda kazi. Alafu jiona kurejea.
Shida kubwa hapa ambayo mwanda kwamba kwa miezi 4 iliyopita tumeweza kupoteza watu wawili ambao wameliwa na mbwa. Tumeweza pia kupoteza mifugo zaidi ya kondoo 100 ambao wamekuliwa hapa,
ambaye zinatembea within Uasin Gishu County ambaye zijafungwa ziweze kuliwa. Na hiyo wakati ilitangazwa I think 1 month ago. Na hii kitu ambaye tunaona hapa ni machungu. kwa sababu kama mwananchi anaweza kupoteza maisha yake kwa ajili ya maumbwa, wanyama ambaye serikali inafaa kutake care of. We have watu wa forestry, we have wildlife.
Well, you know what? That reminded me that in one of the estates where I used to stay a long time ago,
Yes.
we had so many stray dogs, and I was thinking it's because of the butchers that were around that area. But it's serious. These dogs are killing people, and in Uasin Gishu, 2 people have actually lost their lives just like that.
That is such a sad situation. Our producer here, a very young gentleman called Jadiel, lives somewhere along Kangundo Road.
Yeah.
And he tells us after 8 p.m., it's like the dogs are holding crusades. You know, there's so many in the estate, and probably that's one of the things that, you know, the authorities, the county authorities need to look into. I love dogs, but when it gets to this point, that's just nasty. It's a horrible death.
You know what's scary? They say that in one place you can find 50 up to 100 dogs.
Oh, that's a whole lot of dogs, man.
It's even scary to pass there.
50 to 100 dogs.
Yeah.
We need to find out how our neighbors are. We need to find out. I know I live in a place whereby you hardly even know who your next door neighbor is. You know them by their cars. Unfortunately, you can't speak to the car. But I think it's a time we need to find out how our neighbors are doing.
Yeah.
Go out, show love, and for us, because we have a message of hope, a message that brings peace. We go out and share the same to the people around us, so that we can bring the fear, the anxiety, the depression around us down. The other day, there was a lady who stabbed the husband and killed. And it was because of a very, according to the police, it was an argument over food.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, it's probably not just food. It's a combination of so many things happening. And that's why it's so lovely when the message of the gospel goes out, because where we cannot be able to reach, Jesus on the airwaves will go and reach people who will never be reached by preachers.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. I love this. Thank you very much for making this possible. 20 years down the line, and the gospel is still going on.
Well, that goes out to our partners. You are one amazing person, and thank you for always supporting us. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. And Fred, we have someone who is saying, good evening, family. I am loving the show. You are a blessing to me and my family. That is Brian Korir.
All right.
Asante sana, Brian, for tuning in. Well, there is an interesting one here. And he says, on the question that you have asked, Sarah, please, we are not ready. Reason being, we are very stubborn, as the other person has said, and it is high time we eliminate the issue of thinking that we are ready. Wacha tukae quarantine.
Do you think we are ready, Sarah? Personally, do you think we are ready?
I feel like we're not ready. Reason being, and this is very sad, I was around the CBD today and I came across a group of young people. No one is wearing a mask and they're all standing in a group. So basically, even if we have these measures, some are not observing them. And look at the numbers. Today we're standing at over 780 numbers, you know, and this is one thing, because every other day, and it has been happening in the last 5 days, 20 numbers plus new cases.
Now,
we're not.
There's a school of thought that says, now that the WHO says that the world has to learn to live with the COVID-19 virus, as in this virus is not going anywhere anytime soon. At what point do we get so that we can determine that we are now ready? Because this virus is going to be on throughout. I mean, there's never going to come a time, according to the WHO, when we will not have this virus and it will still be infecting people. And I'm getting the feeling the more these updates are being given, people are becoming insensitive to them. I mean, they're just becoming...
It's becoming a norm.
Yeah, it's becoming a norm. I mean, drive or use the roads in the morning, and now in the evening as people rush to beat the curfew. The traffic is as crazy as it normally is when we are doing kawaida stuff.
Yeah.
So the $1 million question is, at what point will we get so that we can know that we are now ready? Anyway, there's a country that has basically decided to throw caution to the air. I mean, they're doing their thing. They don't give a hoot. I'm talking about Cameroon.
Yeah.
While most countries across the continent and the world at large strictly impose and enforce COVID-19 lockdown measure, in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, the reverse is the case. Life before the virus seems to continue unchanged, except for the closure of borders and school, football parks, children playgrounds. All these are open with no restrictions whatsoever. The markets also remain choked with only few respecting social distancing. The imposed wearing of masks also seems to be openly flouted, a situation some are really finding worrisome.
It's terrible. Look, it's a mess all over the place. And people have become used to this. They are now acclimatized to it and doesn't bother them at all. It's now their daily routine. Look at the bars. People are kissing. We are all outraged by this laxity by the population. But what are we going to do about it? This is a decision that comes from the government. It is up to them to find solutions to make the people of Cameroon safe.
You know what, Fred? It's interesting, and from the clip that just aired, we have children playing football. What happened to the parents being very strict to the measures? You know, I really do not understand. And someone said people are getting used to this.
True, and that's the fear, because we every day we know at around 3 or 3:30 we are going to be told that 20s, and I'm not saying this to to pour water on the seriousness of this, but we need to find a different way. 3:30 we've gotten this, we've recovered this. We need to find a way to let people know just how serious this thing is. Cameroonians they think it's a majority of the people in Douala think that it's a kawaida thing. 80,000 people are dead in the United States, and it was not a terrorist attack. It was this very same virus that has seen all these people die. 80,000. So it's something needs, one way or the other, we have to find a way of sensitizing people to the actual and real dangers of COVID-19.
You know what's interesting, and someone brought to my attention that as much as people are wearing masks, and this is serious, someone might find it lightly, but it is serious. And you see people wearing masks in a funny way. There is a correct way of doing it, Fred. The way you have to cover your nose and your mouth. You find people wearing it in their chins. Others are just covering their mouth without the nose. Others are even hanging them in the ears. And it's just interesting. I feel like it's high time we need to take keen interest on this.
There's one I saw and I got shocked. He had moved the mask and it was somewhere here. It looked like a cape.
Yes.
And I was wondering, dear Lord in heaven, Agai, what are you doing? The question that we've been asking about whether we are ready to open up, basically throw away the restrictions. We're talking about curfew and the cessation of movement. And Remy Kipchirchir, you say, I have heard the ABSA group of bank has supplied the health workers with masks to protect themselves as they continue to save lives in the nation. I would like to urge many other corporates to join in and fight against this disease pandemic. We need more other key sector players to come on board. Then you say, I am well and doing great for that matter. And what about you, Sarah?
No, I'm doing great, Remy. Asante sana for tuning in today.
I would like to know any roundup, any news roundup.
Get tuned in.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Then we have Joseph. You say, let me see where he has started. Or you say, looking at the habits of Kenyans, looking at the habits Kenyans have always had, the curve now turns to. I don't know where exactly this one has started.
Yeah, he's also talked about how he cycled.
Oh yeah, I've
Kenyans
seen that.
need to alter their behavior.
Yeah, like today he says, like today I cycled 90 kilometers with a mask on. Did a run with a mask on too. Let's stop waiting for the government. Let's stop waiting for the government. To me, being safe is now a norm.
Yeah.
If we can have that attitude, then Kenya will go far. And then I think there was another one, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
This one says, you've not given us your number. You say, hello guys, thanks for the show. I have been following up on some discussions in the European countries today, and things seem to be going back as people start going back to work, clubs resuming training, and of course some leagues restarting. Tomorrow, like that of the Bundesliga. I think on my side, I propose that restrictions and guidelines be there and followed. We can go back to... he's added another one. Let me see whether I can get... Yeah, we can go back to what we've been doing, given that WHO has given a glimpse of the truth of the matter. That's Pastor Simon Kantai, and says, to add on to that, we can really proceed like this. We need to repackage our lives and cope so that we can cope with this situation. Whether ready or not, Kenyans remain to be stubborn all the same. Tunapenda shortcuts. So restrictions must be there.
Wow, Pastor Kantai there from Lodwar. Hey. And we just need to change this, Fred. It's high time our lifestyle changes if we want to hack this. And talking of that, there is a man who had to say goodbye to his 92-year-old father for the first time. And now he was inspired to help other elderly people who cannot see their families, and they're living in elderly person's home. So he started collecting iPads and donating to senior care units to be used by elderly residents who can't see their families. It's not only him. We also have teenagers who are providing mobile phones to patients in different hospitals to help them communicate with their loved ones who are at home. This is happening in the US.
We collected over 60 iPads that give the nurses an opportunity to get the families to be able to interact with their patients. And we're in the process of not only doing that here, but because we had such a great turnout of donations, of actual iPads and financial donations, and we're giving them to our senior care units, we're giving them to other hospitals in different parts of the country. And unfortunately, during this quarantine, my father had passed away of non-coronavirus illness. I was able to say my goodbyes from here in New Jersey down in Atlanta through a FaceTime opportunity. So it kind of just reassured to me that I was doing the right thing.
We've heard a lot about the country reopening and about the need dissipating, but it really is not. There's still patients inside of hospitals who don't have the ability to communicate with their families, and hospitals are still begging us for devices.
Well, it's interesting to see that people are using whatever they have to help patients who are battling this COVID-19. And that teenager is actually going around and asking people, if you have an extra phone that you're not using, just give it to someone who needs it in the hospital. That's a good move there.
True. I remember a story you did where a family, basically, I think it was 20 hours.
Yeah.
They spent 20 hours on phone. I mean, their dad was in his last hours, and they spent 20 hours on phone talking to their dad, who was dying of COVID in the US, and telling him just how much they loved him and cared for him. And I think that is so special.
Yeah, it is. And on that note, basically differently from that, Alice's daughter, Alice from Machakos, your daughter is turning 9 today. Her name is Ruth. We just want to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Baby Ruth, you are loved so much. And thank you, Alice, for your feedback. You're saying we discussed about the virus the very first day it was reported in Kenya. And one of us said, if us Kenyans can treat this the way we treat politics, it will take us 3 years. Because looking at how it affected the development countries, the UK and Italy, up to now, what about us? We should change and be serious in protecting ourselves, because charity begins at home.
Oh, that's a funny one. That's a nice one.
Well, lastly, today is International Family Day.
Oh, yes, it is. It is.
And this is, I feel like it's time that people should just sit back and look at the importance of family. During this pandemic, having your family around, that is one thing that is very dear and helps us push to the next level. Take, for instance, the guy that was donating iPads.
True.
He doesn't have the father right now because the father passed on because of this. I'm just thinking, this time, families sticking together is a good and a very strong bond. And even as we are celebrating this day, I don't know, what do you have any plans for your family?
As we celebrate, right now, when I leave here, I will have to drive fast to get home because of the curfew.
Yeah.
But one of the things that this situation has brought to our family is a very positive thing. Despite the fact that it's a negative thing happening to the world, it has actually done something to my family. Some of the things that I was not able to do. In this sense, I am now able to, I was forced by virtue of the curfew, because most of the times at 7 you're still doing your own business. By virtue of the curfew and this condition, you're at home that early. And I get to know new things about my daughters. You can even now notice a pimple that has just popped on her. As in, we are spending that much time and we get to know more about each other, in the sense that I know how your day was, how you've spent. I even get to know whether because they're now they're big girls. I get to know if there's a guy who's starting to throw darts at her, that kind of stuff. At least you get to know things that you wouldn't know any other way. And I think some of these things that we've been forced to take on should become now a norm, even after this period. So it's a beautiful thing.
All right. And I feel like you should be celebrating your family today. If you didn't know, now you know. Today is the International Family Day. Before we leave, Fred, there is Pat K from Kiambu. You're saying, I pray the cessation of movement and curfew are extended. The situation now is worse than when COVID-19 was first reported in Kenya. That is Pat from Kiambu, and thank you so much for your response today. Well, we gotta wind up this.
All right.
Well, and thank you so much for tuning in. I just wish that you appreciate your family and have yourself a lovely evening. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njeri.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.